Well, good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here in Waterloo Region this morning, and I got to tell you, these women and men out here are absolute champions. They keep the place going, so thank you, guys. I appreciate it, and so happy to be here with our candidate and your MPP, Mike Harris. Mike, way to go! Along with your candidates for Waterloo, Andrew Atkin and Jim Smith. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Who have been hard at work on the doorsteps and in the community. Mike, Andrew, and Jim have been out sharing our positive vision with the people of Kitchener-Waterloo and Cambridge. And also, thanks to Jim Locke, President of Canadian Energy, for hosting us this morning. Together, we're tackling the hardest problems and delivering real solutions. That means rebuilding Ontario's economy with better jobs and bigger paychecks. It means keeping costs down for Ontario families and putting more money back into your pocket. It means working for workers as we get more people into the skilled trades. It means keeping our province and our economy open today and in the future. And it means saying yes to building highways and key infrastructure. And today, I'm proud to stand here to announce that we're saying yes to building Highway 7. A highway that is desperately needed, a highway that will reduce gridlock, to get drivers out of their cars and home faster to spend more time with their families. We're saying yes. Yes to a 4-lane freeway between Kitchener and Guelph. Yes to 2 new bridges over Grand River. My friends, we're saying yes to building Highway 7, to connecting Highway 7 to Conestoga Parkway. Because local families and workers have heard no for far too long. To my friends here in Kitchener, Waterloo, and Guelph, let me remind you that the Liberals first promised to build Highway 7 back in 2007, a year before the first iPhone went on sale in Canada. But the Liberals delayed Highway 7 again and again and again. They delayed it in 2011, in 2013, 2014, and again in 2017. And nobody did more to block Highway 7 than Kathleen Wynne's hand-picked Transportation Minister, Stephen Del Duca. He was demanding more talk and consultation in 2017, 10 years after the first environmental assessment was done. But that's not all. Even as they delayed the project for 15 years, the Del Duca Wynne Liberals considered tolling Highway 7. They just can't be trusted to keep tolls off our roads and highways. Friends, everything you need to know about the Del Duca Wynne Liberals can be summed up with one stat. The list of highways they want to cancel is longer than the list of highways they want to build. And as for Andy Horvath and the NDP, they're the party of saying no. No to absolutely everything, every new idea. It's a no to progress, it's a no to building. The NDP are happier protesting roads than building them. They've never seen a regulation or a tax they didn't like. The Liberals and NDP, all they want to do is more talk and no action. We can't allow the Liberals to take us back, and we can't allow the NDP to hold us back. It's time to say yes to getting Highway 7 built, and we will not stop there. We're saying yes to building Highway 413. We're saying yes to the Bradford Bypass, yes to the road to the Ring of Fire, yes to the 401 East expansion, yes to the QEW Bridge in St. Catharines, yes to 20 Highway 3 in Windsor. Here in Kitchener, we're also saying yes to delivering all-day 2-way 15-minute GO train service on the Kitchener line. And we're saying yes. Finally, we're getting a great expansion, expanding Grand River Hospital and St. Mary's Hospital. This is the choice Ontario's face on June the 2nd. It's a very clear choice. If you want excuses, if you want more delays, if you want empty talk, well, folks, you've got a lot of options in this election. But if you want to get it done, you have one choice, and that's the Ontario PCs. We're ready to get it done. Friends, we have the team, we have the vision, we have the plan. So on June the 2nd, everybody, let's do it. Let's get out there and let's get it done. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
Morning, Mr. Ford.
Good morning.
Natasha MacDonald, Radio-Canada.
Hey, Natasha.
I want to ask you about Stephen Lecce.
Yes.
Will you answer calls for his resignation for participating in a slave auction in 2006, seeing as you criticized Justin Trudeau's blackface incident? How is this any different?
Well, Stephen, he's acknowledged that it was inappropriate, and he's apologized for attending this event as a teenager. And, Minister Lecce has been a strong advocate of combating racism in schools, and he has my full support.
As a follow-up, I want to ask you about minority parties that are picking up a little bit more traction this time. The New Blue Party, the Ontario Party. Pollsters had them at a combined 20% in the North this week. What's your opinion of these parties, and what do they represent?
I'm not worried about the opposition. I'm focused on our message about building highways and bridges and roads and hospitals and schools. We're pouring $157 billion into infrastructure, largest investment in Canadian history. That's what I'm focused on, getting our message out there. And people are going to have a very clear choice. They're either going to choose a party, the PCs, that are going to get things done, or they're going to choose other parties that all they do is talk. They've talked for 15 years, the NDP and the Liberals. They'll set up a committee. They'll set up a study. They'll go on and on and on. They do nothing. They get nothing done. We're a party that's going to get it done, and we're getting things built.
Next question. Thank you. Mr. Ford, Paige Desmond from the Record newspaper. So in Waterloo Region, we're seeing an increasing number of people sleeping rough and living in encampments. I'm wondering what your plans are to ensure more supportive housing is being built for those who are most vulnerable in our community.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in supportive housing. I'm a believer in attainable housing, affordable housing. We had a meeting with all 444 municipalities. We need to streamline the process and make sure that we standardize processes until we can get more homes built. Our goal is to build 1.5 million homes over the next 10 years in all different categories. Again, I go back to the Liberals and NDP. They don't believe in development. They're anti-development. As I always say, Andrew Horvath would stand there with a protest sign in front of a development rather than getting shovels in the ground. We're going to get shovels in the ground. We're going to cut red tape and regulations. And it's a very simple situation. It's a supply and demand scenario across Ontario. And we're going to make sure that we get the homes built, 1.5 million of them.
And just to follow up, if I understand correctly, that plan for 1.5 million homes didn't include any subsidized or supportive housing. Can you be more specific?
Well, it's going to be attainable housing and affordable housing. If someone's putting up units, or let's say a tower in the GTA, there's going to be a percentage of attainable housing within that tower. And we're working collaboratively with the municipalities for a strong plan to make sure we get everyone a house, a roof over their head. That's the most important thing, and that's what we're going to get done.
Hi there, Lorenda Redicop from
Hi, Lorenda.
CBC. Hi. This is the first time in 3 days you've taken questions from the media. You didn't right after the Northern debate. You haven't agreed to interviews. We've been hearing that many of your candidates, they have also been refusing interviews or to take part in debates. Is this your party's strategy? What are you afraid of?
Let's be fair about this. So we've had 8 days. We're going into 9. So I've been in front of the press 7 times out of 8 days. So I think that's a pretty good percentage. We want to get out there and get our message out. And if you really clock the amount of miles that someone's put on, none of the parties have clocked more miles than I have, making sure we're hitting every corner of this province from north, south, east, west. And I'm here in Kitchener. We're heading over to London. We're going over to Chatham. I'm heading down to Windsor. That's all in 1 day. So I'm not shy to sit there and get our message out, and that's exactly what we're doing here.
It's come to light that several of your candidates, when they were MPPs, had taken top-ups from their riding associations as allowances. In some cases, it added up to tens of thousands of dollars. Are you okay with this? Will they be facing repercussions? And are you going to call for changes to be made?
Well, I'll be pretty frank. I wasn't too happy when I found out about this. I want to emphasize this, I've been assured that all rules were followed. The expenses are independently audited. They're reviewed and approved by Elections Canada, which they were all approved by Elections Canada. With that being said, yes, something, on June the 2nd, I want to sit down with all the parties. I want to take a good hard look at these rules and tighten them up.
Morning, Andy Takagi with QP Briefing.
Hi.
You've announced an increase to the ODSP rate. That's new. That wasn't in your budget. As well, you committed to 150,000 new homes instead of 90,000, which was stated in your budget. Will your budget still be the same if you form government after June 2nd, or will it be a different budget?
No, it's going to be exactly the same. As you know, you read the budget. We have about $1 billion of contingency in there. But I think it's important. As inflation goes up, we're increasing it based on inflation, 5%. We're adding another $425 million into helping people on ODSP. But most importantly, I want to make sure I create the environment for the people that can work. I see that the cost of living is going up, and that's why I want to make sure people are getting better jobs and bigger paychecks. And right now, I just want to remind everyone, when I took office, the Liberals drove and lost 300,000 jobs out of this province. And that's 300,000 families that struggle to pay rent, pay a mortgage, put food on the table. As we stand today, we've created the environment for 550,000 new jobs. There's 550,000 more people working than when I took office. There's 338,000 more jobs available out there. We're going to continue supporting jobs in manufacturing, skilled trades, right across this province.
So you've talked about getting it done. You said that you'll have shovels in the ground, and how other parties are all talk, no game.
Yeah.
4 years ago, you promised to develop the Ring of Fire if it had to be done yourself. However, new documents revealed by the Narwhal say that your government stalled in reaching negotiations with the federal government to start developing the Ring of Fire, and that development hasn't started. Why is that?
Well, I'll tell you, we've had a really good relationship with all three levels, municipal, federal, and obviously the provincial government. The good news is we've signed a deal with Webequie First Nations. They're well on their way with their environmental study. Martin Falls too, they're well on their way. But this is going to bring prosperity to that whole region with the critical minerals that we have. But as part of the whole supply chain, it's going to create thousands of jobs in the north with the critical minerals. And where I'm heading today in southwestern Ontario needs the north with the critical minerals. No matter if it's the cobalt or the nickel or the graphite, they need those critical minerals to build the battery plant and the batteries that LG and Stellantis invested $5 billion in Windsor. And then we made another a great investment with Stellantis, another $3.6 billion. So the people in Windsor, man, they're getting a lot of love, and building a new hospital down there as well, similar to right here. We're building a new hospital with Grand River and St. Mary's. People have been asking for this hospital forever. Mike Harris has been leading the charge out here to get that hospital. He gets full credit. He's been leading the charge for Highway 7. He gets the credit for that as well. But we have great other candidates that are going to be down there. They need a strong voice, this region. And I'm just asking on June the 2nd that you give these folks an opportunity to continue building Ontario.
Hi, Chris Thompson with CTV News.
Hi, Chris.
I just wanted to return quickly to the Education Minister. You say you fully support him going forward. Have you had a chance to talk to him in recent days? And if so, what have you talked about? Or if you're planning to talk to him, what's something you want to discuss with him?
Yeah, well, I don't discuss private conversations, but he's sorry. This is something he did when he was 19 years old and in university. He apologized for this. He said it was inappropriate. I believe it's inappropriate. But let me tell you something about Stephen Lecce. He's been one of the strongest advocates about combating racism in schools, and he has my support. He's done a really, really good job as a Minister of Education, but he's passionate about combating racism, fighting for marginalized communities, and he's done a lot to help the communities.
Yeah, so last week, Stephen DeLucia was here making an education announcement, and when asked about funding, he'd say he would simply scrap one of the highway projects that's coming up on your agenda. Why do you think he and other leaders are so easily able to say no to some of these highway projects that would then help funding elsewhere, like in his case with education?
Well, we're talking Stephen Del Duca? Okay, well, let me tell you about Stephen Del Duca. You know, in 2007, the Liberals had an opportunity to do this for 15 years. All they did is talk about it. sit up committees and talk and talk and talk. That's the clear choice people are going to have. Those guys are talkers and we're doers. Stephen Del Duca likes talking about education. He closed 600 schools under the Kathleen Wynne regime. He was the hand-picked Minister of Transportation. He's closing 600 schools. We're building $14 billion, with a B, $14 billion of new schools. That's a clear contrast. They talk, we get it done.
Paula Duhacek, CBC Kitchener-Waterloo.
Hi.
Further to Paige's question, there are people in our region who aren't just struggling to purchase a home, but are in such a tough spot at the moment that they're sleeping rough in an encampment. What is your plan going to do to help them?
Well, I go back to exactly what I said earlier. We got to cut the red tape regulations. We're working collaboratively with the municipalities, including Kitchener-Waterloo region, and we're going to make sure that we start building homes. We're going to get the permits out the door a lot quicker. And by the way, there are all types of homes for people that need shelter, right up to people that want to buy a single dwelling home. That's what we're going to get done. We're going to build 1.5 million homes. Cut through the red tape regulations and standardize the process. So, when I look at the whole process, it's different in Windsor than it is up in North Bay versus Kitchener. We need a standard process, and we need to make sure that we get these permits out the door as quickly as possible and not take 2 to 3 years. It's ridiculous. To get a permit out the door, it takes 2 to 3 years, and guess what happens? Everyone pays more. The lumber's gone up, the steel's gone up, labor's gone up, and who gets stuck with the bill? But the first-time homeowner or second-time homeowner. We need to get these homes built immediately.
Given the region's role as a driver of economic activity, is there anything you can do to speed up the process of two-way all-day go between Kitchener and Toronto?
Yeah, we're well on our way to getting it done. We've increased the length of the train so far. We've increased the frequency of the rides, but as we say, we're going to get two-way all-day go every 15 minutes through this region, and we're committed to that.
Kara Smap, City News, Kitchener.
Hi, Kara.
In regards to the Highway 7 expansion, you said that it's a highway that's been promised multiple times. We haven't seen any results for that. Would you be able to expand on some of the details, how much it's going to cost and when the expected end date is?
Yeah, so we're going to get onto this immediately. I know it's 18 kilometers. We'll be going out for a fair and transparent bid, and as soon as that happens, I'll be the first to tell you exactly how much the highway is going to cost. Thank you.
And then you mentioned your commitment to St. Mary's and Grand River Hospital. Can you explain a little bit on detail your plans for those, and then will Cambridge Memorial also be included in those plans?
Well, right now, St. Mary's and Grand River, and again, Mike Harris, I want to thank you for pushing this. Pushing it through caucus and cabinet, and those are details that we're going to sit down with the hospitals and get an exact time frame. But let me tell you, the difference between the PC government and the previous Liberal and NDP government, we're building $40 billion of new hospitals across every region of this province. They were ignored. The hospitals were brought to the brink under the previous government. Now we're fixing it. We're updating the hospitals with new technology, modern HVAC systems. They're going to be state-of-the-art, each and every hospital in every single region across this province. We're doing the largest investment in infrastructure for hospitals in Canadian history. $40 billion, and every region is going to see a new hospital.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Thanks.